Zurich. I hope you all had a good first day of Product Management Festival yesterday. Ready for day 2, I hope. Welcome to all the brave souls who are turning their back on the shiny new thing, the AI track, and looking at the fundamentals, the businesses that we all get to run. Welcome to the PMF business track. My name is Simonetta. As announced yesterday in the morning, the idea this year at Product Management Festival is to go a little bit deeper into some of the topics. So this morning's track deep dive goes into business impact and business skills, and we're going to take you on a little bit of a learning journey together. And when I say we, I mean a whole team of people. That's me, myself. A little bit about me, maybe. I studied business originally. I started my career in finance, accounting, controlling, running the numbers, presenting the numbers to C-levels, the boards, investors, basically like deep down in the business. But I wanted to get closer to where the action was. I thought that was sales. So I went from finance to sales. And then in sales, I was like, well, wait a minute, I'm still only selling what some other person is building, and the stuff that they're dreaming up, that's where all the action is. And then someone put me into my first product role. That was like 15 years ago-ish. But I never lost sight of what I knew from presentations and conversations with my CEOs and senior stakeholders, that ultimately what we do is we're running a business, and product as a function in the organization has to support strategy, has to support the business. So my role today is to keep an eye on profit. With me is also Flick. She's sitting here in the first row, if you want to get up and wave maybe. Flick is our revenue queen. She's going to take a look at stories of revenue and tactics. How do you might think about how you tie the work we do in product into revenue stories. Also with us here today is Sailandra. He is our cost magician. He's going to go deeper into the cost side of the P&L with us today, and sharing good insights and stories of how you might think about what we do in product impacting cost reduction, cost avoidance. And finally, there is Rich. He's one of the OG product thinkers, I think. His blog started in 2001. He wrote a book called The Art of Product Management in 2008. It's going to get its second edition coming up soon, I believe. And he's been working with CPOs around the world on how to create better narratives around business impact and actually winning support of the organizations for the work their teams want to deliver and do. So why do we do this? What's our challenge here? Last year, I went to Pandemonium in Raleigh, big event for product people put on by Pendo. And one of the things I kept hearing is, we're being perceived as a cost center. And as a result of that, if you want to cut costs and be more efficient, one easy way to do this is to just cut out a bunch of product teams and engineers. And we've just seen another round of layoffs like this, 26,000 people at Amazon gone. Immediate impact on the P&L, savings of the payroll cost of all of these people. We're not necessarily seen as value drivers, and that's what we need to change. And the goal of this journey we're going to take you on this morning is to give you tools in how you can shift the perception of the work you do from being perceived as a cost center to being seen as a value driver that no one would dare to take out of the organization. If we're not managing to do this, we're at risk of being laid off. None of us want this. We want careers, we want growth, we want opportunities. And sadly, oftentimes we also focus on the wrong things. We say things like, we're going to reduce churn. Let's do this. But no one in the boardroom hears us. All they would hear is if we finish that sentence like a good money story, like Rich will teach us how to do later. And we translate this churn reduction initiative into something that says, and we're going to protect 5 to 10 million of revenue. Now, out of a sudden, you have someone's attention because that's the number they can understand, comprehend, evaluate against other ideas, and hopefully say yes to. So in this dilemma of being seen as a cost center versus being seen as a value driver. We want to shift from this undesirable attention that we have our own part in because we're not so great at telling money stories just yet, to being seen as a value driver. And we don't want to have our house of cards fall down in product, but we want to be seen as successful drivers of impact in the business, where anyone's senior decision maker's decision to keep your team on and staff your team more and give you more resources would be a clear yes, because they see how you drive value for the business. So our mission for the journey today is getting more of the right things done in the way we tell our stories as well, changing our image along the way, and obviously still create products that customers love, build them ethically, build them beautiful, build them smart, apply all the great thinking we know from how we do discovery to how we deliver stuff, right? But also obviously create commercial success for our organizations, because that's the ultimate metric that our businesses care about, that we should be delivering. Product is a business role. You heard it from John yesterday in the morning. Could have been no better opening keynote for the business track, him telling a story of how he moved the AdSense for search business from 2 billion to 12 billion with very few people. What an amazing ROI for the work that their team has delivered. And this is the kind of story you want to uncover and hopefully build in your organizations too. Maybe not from 10 to 12 billion, that's hard to do in most organizations. But the relative scale of something like this in your organization might be to move something from 2 to 10 million, or might be to move something from 200,000 to 2 million. You can find out what that relative growth success storyline might look like in your business and start to get working. So the trend we need to navigate in the whole track today is obviously conversations with senior stakeholders and the board, the P&L, and also money stories. That's what we're going to dive deep on today. We want to be in the boardroom and hear a yes to our product proposals, to someone suggesting that we should get promoted, to our roadmap priorities that we want to defend and not get derailed on all the time, and also obviously to creating business success together and celebrating our wins. So there is one piece of foundational knowledge I want to share in the opening part of this today. And that's like how a basic P&L works. If you have not worked in accounting, you may have never seen it like this. Oftentimes it's written in a list, but in accounting logic, all accounts have two sides. The two sides of every account have to check out. They have to show the same number. On one side, you see the income, everything that the incoming money for the organization is recorded there. All the revenue, all our product sales or our service sales, any kind of other revenue, we might rent out part of our office or whatever. On the other side, we have our expenses, the money we are paying out. Payroll, for example, for being seen as a cost center, it's because on the P&L, we definitely show up on the expense side. We're an expensive line item when it comes to payroll. And then hopefully there is more income than there is cost, and that leaves a profit, because the two sides of this thing have to check out, right? So if this profit is what we're ultimately after, and this is what investors are definitely after, this is the ultimate success metric of your senior leadership team. And if it's true that this bottom part of the account always has to stay the same, then there's logically 4 main levers, really, and they fall in 2 categories. One plays on the income side. If we make this larger, and expenses stay the same, then obviously my profit increases. How can I increase the revenue side? I make new revenue. I protect revenue that's already there so it doesn't fall out. On the expense side, we can decrease cost, or we can avoid spending money to begin with. That could be, for example, an initiative that builds better scalability into the organization so we can bring the next 500% growth on without having to spend more money on hardware. So to summarize that, there's like 4 P&L strategies that we could kind of follow: creating more revenue, protecting existing revenue, avoiding cost or saving cost. And those are kind of like the broad strokes of the journey we're going to follow this morning together with Flick, Salandra, and Rich, and myself, I guess. The prize to win at the end of this journey is power and influence, because if we deliver this business value, we actually have gained trust, gained influence, and gained power in our organizations. It allows us to set the priorities that we want because we're being empowered and trusted with our decision making as good stewards of the money that our teams cost. It gives us funding for our teams. Remember John's story where he had to argue for getting a little bit of resources to improve the AdSense for Search thing, but it moved from 20% of 2 engineers to 20 people eventually because he could show traction and growth in the revenue. It gives us career opportunities because if things are growing, positions open up. If we have been seen as the ones delivering the value, we are suggesting ourselves for promotions. And it also gives us the impact we all want out there in the world. When I speak to product leaders and I ask them, where's the joy in all of this? They keep naming the impact. They keep liking to see what their products do in the world. And ultimately, hopefully, that also leads to happiness at work and less anxiety and pressure. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Flick, who's going to show us stories and tactics and things that you can do on the revenue side of the P&L to find the levers that might move the business impact there. So welcome on stage, Flick. Before you start, the next thing we're going to do is Salandra will cover the cost side of things, and then Rich will follow up with telling good money stories. And then we're going to tie it all together in a panel. So you have time for questions after every session, but you can also bring more questions into the panel where we wrap it all together at the end. And with no further ado,